Good evening, citizens of Louisburg, and welcome to our May 13th Town Council meeting. I want to thank all of you for coming out and also for coming to this facility here as well. We are having some work done downtown at our main office, so thank you for coming out for this meeting. Our next Monday meeting, we hope to meet back at our regular meeting. And we begin by having our roll call.
Mayor Neal.
Here.
Councilman Carver. Councilwoman Wood. Here. Councilman Donovan. Councilman Clancy. Councilman Baker. Here. Councilman Wright. And we do have a form.
And let me remind you, anyone who wants to make public comments, we have our list right here. So I'll take a moment or two. So anyone who may want to have a public comment, you can come and sign in this right here. Item number 2, our invitation. Could I ask you, Governor Roosevelt, could you give us our invitation?
Dear Father, come to tonight. Thank you for this day, this opportunity to come together, Lord, to take care of the affairs of this Franklin County. We ask your blessings upon this meeting. We ask that you continue to lead us and guide us in the right way. Bless this town council. In your name we pray and we give thanks for all that you've done and what we know that you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I do report the adoption of tonight's agenda. Could I get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt tonight's agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 5, presentation of a fire department award. And I must say, I am glad and honored to be mayor to present this award to one of our citizens and also our veteran firemen that served the town diligently for a number of years. And I am honored to be the one to present this award to him. And could I ask Mr. Tim, there was Mr. Timmy Smith Jr. to come forward. And ask you to step up so everybody can see us. Yeah. Mr. Smith. For those of you, this is an award that is awarded to a person who has done multiple years of service. And it's my first time seeing something like this. And now I want to present this to Timothy Wayne Tim Smith Jr. in grateful recognition of 45 years of dedicated service to the town of Louisburg and for your outstanding leadership as the longest serving fire chief of the town of Louisburg Fire Department, serving with distinction for 20 years, with deepest appreciation and respect for your unwavering commitment, sacrifice, and service presented this day of honor of a true public servant. Mr. Smith, thank you for your service. And I believe, I'm glad to see our former mayor here as well, who was in office at the time of your service. But Mayor, I'm glad to be the one. As well.
For many years. He served with me in the fire department. Served for over 40 years altogether. I don't know of another man that's so dedicated anywhere in the state.
Thank you.
So everybody knows the reason everything I did, everything was clean, perfect. Because I had this gentleman named Carl with the name. He was behind my tape. I love it.
Item number 6, audit update from PD Mayor. Mr. Stark, come forward. Thank you. We can move that out.
My name is James Sargent. I am a Search Assurance Manager with PD Mayor as your auditor. Because of delays that are associated with the audit to this point, we are behind schedule. And I thought it would be a good idea to discuss with the council some of the issues and some of the findings that we've had to this point in the audit. Number one, and I always like to start off with good news because there's been a lot of times where this hasn't been true. But number one is there has been no fraud or illegal acts noted during the course of this audit. So in this particular case, we have found nothing that leads us to believe that there is any illegal acts or fraud associated with the 2023 year. I just want to make sure everybody understands that up front before I get into some of the issues that we have. Number two, one of the major issues we had is the audit journal entries were not provided from the 2022 year to the town until January of 25. So any work we did prior to that on the trial balance associated with the numbers were not correct. We noted that in a number of cases when we inquired. The reason we found out was because the audit journal entries from the 2022 year were never updated into the 23 budget. They were never received by the town until this was requested in January of 2025. So that kind of threw the whole audit back behind schedule to start with, because we weren't able to even plan a lot of the audit because we didn't have the correct numbers. Number three is the capital asset section. This is basically your fixed assets of your town. The town has been going through a significant, process by which they are determining, based on what the prior year capital assets said, what is still the town's property, what had been disposed of in the prior year. If you look at what we're gonna have in the long term, there were a number of disposals prior to the beginning of the 2022 year. Town had not been the person that is updating these schedules, but they are now. And so what has happened is each department has gone in and said, yes, we still have this, no, we don't have this. The IT department has gone in and said, yes, we still have these things, no, we do not have these things anymore. So we're getting all that updated, and that takes a significant amount of time because it involves a large number of people within your organization. And it's one of the areas that is still not yet completed because, again, there's no fraud associated with it. It's just a long process, which after this year, obviously, it won't be a big process because everything we know we had in 2023, pretty much gonna look and see what isn't there in 2024, should have been approved by the council. The electric inventory, for some reason, the electric inventory was included as part of capital assets and not shown separately on the financial statements. This generally is not the way that we consider things need to be done. This is probably a difference in opinion, and how things could be done, but we think it should be separately stated as a current asset as opposed to a long-term asset. So that is another area that is still open because we're having to do a rollback from the current year's electric inventory to get back to what we had as of the end of 2023. Accounts receivable, I'm happy to report we've actually pretty much finished this section. There's still some work that needs to be done cleaning it up, but your accounts receivable, it was roughly, the reporting still had over $1 million worth of customers, over half of which were from 2016 or earlier and had not been customers since that time frame. So obviously they're not collectible and they need to be removed from the accounts receivable listing to clean up your accounts receivable. So it's another area with Sean's help. We have been cleaning up, trying to get down to making your accounts receivable listing show what is current, what is collectible, having allowances for what is not collectible, and then all the stuff that is being removed to a bad debt listing, which will be used when a new customer comes to the town. It'll be checked against the bad debt listing, and the bad debt listing will show that customer owes money. That money will be collected at that point as a bad debt recovery in future years. So it's a simpler way to clean up your accounts receivable, will make your accounts receivable much easier to manage. The next issue is probably the biggest area that we've had problems, and that is the payroll, accrued vacations, payroll details. The payroll account, for some reason, there were not supervisory approval on timesheets on a consistent basis, which is basically a generally required item for us to be able to do control, test control. It's control where the supervisor is signing off on the employee's timesheet saying, yes, they worked those number of hours. That was inconsistent. We also found that personnel action forms, which are the forms that are used to update the salaries of the employees and document the salaries in the file, so that if we go in and look in 2023, we don't have any personnel action forms for like merit increases or the cost of living increases or what the council approved as increases in any cases. So they were just stopped for some reason. We don't know why. It's not our job to try and figure out the why of such things. We just know that they don't exist. all of this resulted in a much larger test that had to be done than what we had anticipated originally in payroll, like basically 4 or 5 times larger than what we had originally thought was going to be necessary in payroll. Generally speaking, your prior year didn't have a problem. And so we thought the current year that would be the same, but that was not the case. We also are going to make a recommendation. You are currently calculating your payroll on your overtime on a 28-day cycle. It actually involves 3 different payrolls for someone to calculate. 1 week out of one payroll, 2 weeks in the middle payroll, and then 1 week out of the third payroll. This is problematic from a lot of standpoints, one of which is that you're having to do things outside of the payroll system manually to determine what those numbers are. Anytime you're calculating stuff manually, your chances of error increases significantly. Our recommendation is going to be that you use the pay periods, your 2-week pay periods, and so everybody works above a certain number of hours in that 2-week pay period to be paid overtime for that pay period. You would have all these spreadsheets, have all this other calculation that needs to be done. Most of the cities I work, practically all of the cities I work with are on this pay period. Now, I will point out that it's possible during certain times of the year that you may actually incur a bit more overtime than you would otherwise under the 28-day cycle. Because, for example, Christmas, the first 2 weeks of December, if somebody works overtime, they're going to end up in overtime because Christmas is the holiday and vacation around Christmas will not be used to offset against those first 2 weeks. So will probably incur additional expenses doing it. This way, I can guarantee the effort you are taking and the risk of error that you are incurring by eliminating this additional work that you're doing, you eliminate all of that, and that'll help you a lot in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. We think that's a good recommendation for you to do. Go to a 2-week calculation for your overtime as opposed to the 28-day calculation. We are also testing in what's called a single audit or uniform guidance this year. The uniform guidance is basically testing a federal program because you have expenditures that exceeded the minimum federal threshold for this testing. We are testing the ARPA fund, essentially the COVID-19 expenditures. Now, you reported in the board that you were going to use COVID-19 expenditures in a certain way. However, when you got to the reporting, and that's how you expended that money. So, not a problem there. You spend it like you said you were going to spend it. However, when you reported to the federal government, you reported that you were actually using a different set of expenditures than the one the board originally suggested and proposed to use. So you have a material weakness in your reporting for this particular program. And of course, anytime we have this, that slows things down because we again have to write up a bunch of things about it. We have additional work that has to be performed because of that to make sure that the expenditures, we can't just simply say, okay, well, these expenditures did. We need to make sure that these other expenditures were not at some point approved by the board, which we went through and had to look through. We had your employees also check to make sure there was no resolutions that changed the way we did things. So we needed to make sure of all of that before we move forward with the terms of our testing. So again, just another item that slows the audit down and going through it. And of course, I'm sure you've heard this from prior auditors, but you have a lot of segregation of duties issues. And basically, your account administrator is the only person that has the full financial knowledge to be able to pull all the information that we've asked for. Without him, and I know that you have the local government commission talking to you on a regular basis, without him, I'm not sure that we'd even be a tenth of the way through the audit that we are now. So, I mean, he's done a wonderful job, but of course he has other responsibilities other than getting what the auditor needs. So just something I wanted to point out is that you do have segregation of duties, and you have hired people, and hopefully these people can pull together and pull this information, particularly going forward, so that it's not just on the shoulders of the town administrator to do it. So, I mean, we wanted to point that, but it does slow it down when it's one person trying to get everything for us, and that person has other duties also, as opposed to, you know, 5 or 10 employees are involved in that. Also, I think one of your issues that you're gonna need to deal with, and this will be another recommendation, is we think your accounting software is fairly outdated. It doesn't really provide some of the information in a way that we think it should, particularly to the town information itself. This is not just from our perspective, but from your perspective. From the perspective of the town getting the information out of the accounting software that it needs easily. One of the problems that you have is a lot of the stuff that normally would be a normal report is stuff that you had to create from a special report. And as far as I'm aware, there's only the administrator and then another person in your town, and that's how to write these special reports. You have a limitation, another narrowing of focus in terms of being able to provide all the information that you need, perhaps, because you have to write these special reports anytime you want something that's a little different, as opposed to more current and more up-to-date software, which may be able to do this for you automatically. So we think in the long run, certainly the town needs to look at changing their accounting software to a different company. And then the last one is sort of a hodgepodge of items. There were a number of receivables and accruals which were being updated basically by third parties, and thus these accruals and receivables are for the first time being done within the town. Anytime you have a change like that, you know, we have to understand what they are. The town has to figure out how to do them. It's just a delay, and it's another delay in terms of why it's taken us so long to complete the audit. I mean, we have been working very diligently. And in addition to that, we also created what's called the GASB 34 fund, which is the county ease for those first 2 statements in your financial statements that are the statement of net position and the statement of activities. What we have done is created a fund that in the future can be used to help make sure that those numbers are correct before the auditor has to come in and try to figure out what they are. And by doing that, it'll keep stuff like, for example, your general government fixed assets were not recorded on your books anymore. Now they are under this new fund. And so changes to those fixed assets will automatically be shown in that fund, and thus those changes will be there for the reporting purposes that you need, as opposed to having to be done by a third party or by the auditor, who basically isn't at this point, because of independence issues, is not allowed to do that. So this GASB 34 fund will essentially help track all these changes that previously, 5-10 years ago, an auditor could do, but under the new independence standards, the auditor would not. So those are the reasons why we are still actually fairly close to being done this law. Even with all of these issues that we've dealt with, we have basically 3 areas where we still have stuff, well, 2 areas now, but I think we got them over today. The capital asset section, which your people understand what needs to be done and have done it. It's a matter of accumulating all that information and getting it done. And the electrical inventory. So those are pretty much the 2 areas that we still have where we don't have completion of the section. Most of the rest of it, including payroll, which I think we have just a few more items or a few more requests to make sure we've got everything, are completed. And therefore, we are very close to being able to get to creating or having your third-party independent accounting group create a report. So hopefully within the next month, we will have a report a draft of a report to present to you so that you can look at it and determine if there's any changes that need to be made. And that's about where we are in terms of the audit. But these are the major reasons. I mean, there were some small ones too, but these are the big time consumers. And that first one, not the illegal acts, but the not getting the audits. Journal entries from the prior year auditor. That particular one pretty much threw out about 6 months worth of work. I mean, not much you can do at it except correct it and go on, but that was probably the biggest in terms of why the audit has been delayed like it is. Because we did not get that basically until the end of January. And if you think about it, we were here months prior to that working on things, and we couldn't figure out why.
Calendar year to be hired in January.
Yeah, so it was a whole year later that we finally got the information that we could perform the audit on.
Thank you for clarifying that, and that's great news that you can have a draft report maybe next month. Item number 6, the stoppage of the PS. Did you notice an approximate date of that? I know we had a lot of staff.
It's pretty much all of the 2022 and 23 year. I don't think we actually found any in that were for 2022. So they ended at the end of 2022.
So just 20. Thank you.
Is there any further questions?
So I want to thank you for coming tonight and sharing with us, as well as your public, status of the audit. And sure that you have cleared up a lot of things going forward. Shooting, as we move forward, that you have our full cooperation, get as much information to you as you can.
Well, I would point out that by correcting these issues, it's going to make future audits that much simpler because we don't have to worry about what capital assets are here, or we'll have the electric inventory, and we'll have the accounts receivable that ties to the general ledger, those kind of things which you did not have.
That was my hope, that we just had to kind of get up to speed. That's what I'm looking for, but more widely used accounting practices no longer. That should speed things along.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we have done simply to help make it not only better for this year, but easier for future years, so that it doesn't take the time that it took this year to be able to do.
Great news.
Sure.
Thank you, James.
Thank you. Thank you. Item number 10, present for our April 8th, 2025 regular meeting. We're not open to your packet, and nothing for correction, can I get a motion to approve? It's been moved and properly seconded, and we approve the minutes for the April 8th, 2025 regular meeting. All in favor? All opposed? Item number 8, public comment. Obviously, we don't have anyone today, so we'll move on to item number 9. Report from the EDC.
Good evening, hope all of you are well tonight. We had our meeting yesterday. We had very lively discussions regarding our, what we all perceive as our jobs, or what we think we are doing. We also recognize that this is the end of the fiscal year, and that there's probably not a lot of money available, like there are in most governments or school boards or whatnot at the end of the year. And that the ideas that have been recommended, that there's reasons, financial reasons why they've not been acted upon. We also know that you're in the middle of the budget season and you're preparing your budgets for next year. We would like to continue to recommend that you keep the grant writing position available in that budget, and either an EDC coordinator or maybe an events coordinator to time with that grant writing position. And we thank you, and we'll be meeting next month, and we invite all of you to attend. It is the first Monday of the month, so it's the week before these town council meetings. And we would love to have your input at these meetings and to have you join the discussion. Thank you very much.
This is Alan, I'm also a member of your EDC. I'm here to reiterate our interest in encouraging you to proceed with the process of creating a greenway system along the Colorado to the town of Louisburg. That's a process that will take a couple of years of implementing. The process to involve the state of North Carolina funding through the Greenway and Waterway system funding requires that the town council hire a consultant to develop a plan that the town council can then adopt. And once it's adopted, it can be submitted to the state for funding, a significant amount of funding. The advantage we have is we have the Colorado Land Conservancy right here in Louisburg, and they have been involved in several times that have created greenway systems and waterway systems. They get the Colorado Land Conservancy and its director, Gary Hamburg, has indicated he would just be very interested in helping the town with this process, negotiating with landowners and contractors. They've done it in the past, they've been very effective. So our recommendation is that you provide in your budgeting process next fiscal year funding to hire that consultant, which is the beginning of the process. And if you delay, it's another year. The process does not happen. Can I answer any questions?
I'd like to say, to the EDC committee, as well, we want to assure you that your recommendations that you make to the council and the town, not go, take those very, very seriously. We know that you represent citizens and we need citizen input to help us be successful. So I know sometimes there can be a degree of frustration. You may not be taking all of your recommendations seriously, but I want to assure you that we take your recommendations very seriously. And we're glad that you are there. The committee is there. I see this as a valuable asset of presenting information from the citizens to the board for the betterment.
Interestingly, the longer that we continue meeting and discussing items, we had many more people that live in the town of Louisburg come to us directly in the and make comments about things they would like to see or things they are in favor of or not. So, I think the committee, however, mayor, and whoever are the asset you in. Thank you.
All right, item number 10, resolution authorizing the use of roller surface area from the closed store. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor, County Council. Speaking on this issue, as you're aware, in 2022, the rotors at the wastewater treatment plant failed suddenly, and they were replaced with the old brand rotors. And now the time has come to replace the rotors in the other two oxidation ditches, and to keep in line with state procurement guidelines, we need to provide this resolution stating that the town chooses to sole source the old brand rotors to stay consistent with the equipment that's currently in place. So the resolution provides a little further detail on that, but once the resolution is in place, we'll move forward with this project.
Any questions? If not, could I get a motion? You have a resolution on page 6 in your packet. So Brown, have any questions?
I'll move that we adopt the resolution authorizing the use of regular sources.
To move properly second that we adopt the resolution authorizing the use of roads for the solar service. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Oh, okay. I see what I'm saying. Yeah. Thank you for that. Resolution. Number 11, resolution to award the contract for accordance with the RFQ TOL 2025 for qualified services to perform the brownfield.
So as you're aware, we're coming to the end of the brownfield assessment for the town's property on West River Road. And we're also awarded the brownfield grant for cleanup of that site. And again, following this time federal procurement guidelines, we've advertised for 30 days, requested qualifications for professional services to manage this project and see the cleanup process through. And we received one RFQ, and they say that they can complete this project for $100,000. And in the project fund, just so you're aware, there's budgeted $70,000 allocated with the grant funds for management of the project, so you come up with the difference. And this resolution would allow the town administrator to enter into contract with TRC companies out of Cary to execute the brownfield cleanup process.
Any questions from Mr. Brown? Council? Not, we get a motion to approve that resolution for qualified service.
I make a motion to approve the resolution to award the contract for on TLL 2025 contract services to perform brownfield.
It's been moved properly second that we adopt the resolution to award the contract in accordance with the RFQ TOL 2025 for qualified services performed brownfield. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 12, resolution to approve the sale of surplus vehicles and equipment. Right.
So, as you're aware, Public Services Division goes through lots of vehicles and equipment, and our facility here eventually becomes a storage house for the entire town, for office equipment, and vehicles and things that are no longer used and or needed. And so, in order to work towards cleaning up the facility and the grounds here, we've identified an initial list of items we would like to try to sell on gov deals. And in order to do that, I'm asking the council to declare these items surplus. We will give a solid effort in advertising and budget as much money as possible through the gov deals website. And the items that don't sell, we will come back and ask that properly so that they be declared where it's surplus again, where we can go ahead and dispose of them.
So the public, you have to, right?
Yes, the initial list is a 2007 Elgin street sweeper. All of these items have exceeded their useful life and or don't run and or it costs more to repair than the vehicle is currently worth. We've got a 2004 Ford F-150, 2010 Ford F-150, a wrecked Dodge Durango police car, a Caterpillar diesel generator motor, 2 generator housings. We've got a obsolete pull-behind sewer jet, and we've got piles of office electronics, including monitors, keyboards, cables, and printers, piles of metal filing cabinets, and also a multitude of desks and office chairs in varying conditions.
Right. Any other questions from Mr. Brown from the council? If not, could I get a motion to approve the put the leaves on service? The move and properly second that we put these items as we stated on service. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item number 13, administrative.
Mayor, Town Council, thank you. Just to make everyone aware, the third-party vendor that we use for utility bills had not known our utility bills. And that was this a Thursday. We were not the only municipality that was impacted by this. We were notified on Monday that the third-party vendor has closed their doors immediately. So we are now searching for a third-party vendor to mail out our bills. If you have questions or concerns about bills, we've got an online account. You're welcome to pay it that way. The interactive voice response system, call town hall. We'll get you what you need to get your bill paid. Just wanted to make you aware that the third-party vendor closed effective immediately, and that's the reason for the delay.
I have a question. Would that affect the due dates and people paying that like this? Will they be given an extension of the fact?
Typically, we would probably do that.
Big that's on their system. A lot of people.
May 5th through May 9th was Municipal Clerk Week. We would like to thank Town Gary, Town Clerk, for all that she does for the town of Louisburg. Friday nights on the Tar will be this Friday, May 16th, featuring the Magic Pipers. And Town Hall will be closed on Monday, May the 26th, for Memorial.
Next is the mayor's report. I just simply want to reiterate, the fact that the audit receiving this evening, share this information. I hope as we move forward, the public as well as the staff will have a clear understanding of where we are as far as that audit report. And I hope he cleared up how diligently we are working to get back on track. And I think you had to hear it from him to show that we are trying to get everything back in order. Of course, one thing that I was concerned about is social media is all in the air about things going on. And I want the public to understand, and in particular, social media, the first item on his report. Again, no fraud on legal, illegal acts. And the public, since it's public now, you can get a copy of this. You come to town hall, you can share this information. This is what we have always asked you to do. Come to town hall to get all of the facts as it relates to the situation with the audit. Now we have it. And I'd like to revert to the old saying, don't know, now you know. Move forward on that. Thank you. That's my report. Next is the police report. Chief, nothing today, okay, and also Chief Floyd is also here to read the report in our packet. Item number 17, council comment. Ms. Wood.
I would like to thank everybody for coming. I would like to thank Mr. Smith for your wonderful years of service to the town of Louisburg. Thank you for just being a total firefighter for our community. Kim and I got a chance a couple weeks ago to go to Pittsburgh in Springfield, which is hosted by the next country. And we attended a lot of great sessions. We met a lot of great people and accumulate a lot of knowledge that we're ready to share and let God thank.
Councilwoman Wright.
Just thank everyone for being here this evening, and also here with the service. It's a great thing. I guess it's got to be forced, and that's fun. I thank everyone for being here this evening, and just we have a great.
They took all the good words, but I'll make it read that. Thank you. And I'll, 45 years, that's.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Item number 18, now, we got a motion for personnel for 143-8-8. We move the process that we go close that personnel. All in favor? Thank you. All opposed?
See y'all. Have a good evening.